Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum program, Stay Curious. I'm Mark Marquette. So glad that you've joined us today on this Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, when one of these suborbital flights took off today out there in Texas and had a wonderful, safe flight. And we're glad that they did. And we want to explain a little bit why we call them Karmanauts, these space flyers here, and see if you will adopt that term to unmuddy the waters of who is an astronaut and who is not. So we've got that going for us today. Let me get my friends up here on our Facebook channel. Marty, what did I do wrong here? Let me hit that there and, oh, nope, went the wrong way, Peach Fuzz. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching today. And I am looking for us live, and we are live with Marty Winkle, my co-producer. 5.5 years we've been broadcasting Stay Curious, first on Facebook Live, and then after we got 1,000 people on YouTube, we hit the YouTube channel, over 4,000 followers on YouTube, and our program is still heading upwards. So tell your friends to share and subscribe and watch us, as it's a social time for a lot of you out there across America and even across the world. Okay, so thank you all for watching today, and I hope you enjoy today's program. Again, we're going to talk about one of our special sponsors, but this is National Hispanic Month in America, and we want to feature two Hispanic astronauts, a man and a woman, and one of them has a birthday today. So, but we love celebrating our astronauts any way we can, particularly the shuttle era that have changed our lives. So stay tuned for a couple Hispanic astronauts. How many were there, Marty? We should have had that as a question. We need to get back into questions. Technically, officially, how many Hispanic defined as Latin American, Mexican, and so forth, how many have flown to space? Well, I'll tell you here in just a few minutes. We want to make everybody aware of the fact that the 40th charity space memorabilia auction of the American Space Museum will be Saturday, October 25th. You can go to our website, upload the or view for yourself the 300 plus lots that our collection analyst Chuck Jeffrey has put up there, and you can bid on them now. We'll talk about that later in the next couple of weeks, that you can pre-bid what you think your maximum amount you'd spend for something, and it could go for less, but put your dibs on it now. And then the gavel falls on Saturday, October 25th at noon, and it'll take 6 hours or so to go through all those lots, and you will have an education as well as help spending money to support the American Space Museum. 40 auctions have sustained and saved this museum. Thank you, Chuck Jeffrey, no doubt about it. Your contributions are important, and we couldn't be open without it. So what else can we say? Well, we can say that we've got our October bilingual STEAM Saturday program with our wonderful Natalia Sepulveda there. She has a master's degree in Spanish language thanks to a Ron McNair fellowship that she won. And Ron McNair, of course, lost his life in Challenger after one previous successful mission. If you're local, we still got a few spots left. It's free. November 8th, we're going to talk about being thankful for space spin-offs at home. In other words, things that affect your life that we should be thankful for, including everything that's surrounding us, Marty. And then December 13th, Bilingual STEAM Saturday, will focus on robots in space, and just a wonderful outreach that the American Space Museum has always done, led by our late leader, Karen Conklin. And we love and miss Karen every day, and we hope to carry on the tradition that she started of providing free STEAM programs to youth here in the Titusville area. And yes, sirree, we're going to have Carlton Bailey on the show tomorrow, Thursday. We had to cancel him when we had a fire. And sorry about that, of course. And then we just never picked the ball up. But we're going to have you in here Thursday talking, you being CB, who's watching, I'm sure, shuttles of October and current events with CB. Maybe he's got an opinion about launching that gigantic starship and if it would have an anomaly, aka blow up on the pad, how he thinks that would lay out. But Carlton's been a space journalist since the 1980s, over 700 rocket launches to his credit, and a great guy, a fun person to be around. And we hope that you enjoy the company of Carlton Bailey on tomorrow. Stay curious. Well, we want to thank our sponsor, the GoHistoryTravel.org, the Ramanujams. You're going to see their names here in just a second. They have just published their Volume 4, Issue 2 of their travel around the world. Literally, Marty, from April to June this year. They have been in so many places in Europe and America, and their philanthropic ways have been felt. These are some of the donations that they've given this year. I should have printed that out, but we'll be seeing this again. As we want you to go to gohistorytravel.org and check out these unique history lessons from this family of three. President and editor of this is Rama, is what he wants to be called, Parathantra Ramanujam, and then his son Bharat does the research and travel planning, and the mom and wife, Mal, she's associate editor, secretary, photographer, and everything else, obviously. Ramanujams, we love you for your contribution to the American Space Museum. We're happy that we're not the only recipients of your philanthropic ways. As I showed you, here's another going back. Yeah, show that there. I was trying to read what one of them are. Can you read that better than me, Marty? Anyway, I should have printed that out. But we're one of like 6 institutions that they've given money to this year, and we're very grateful. And they're also going to sponsor an astronaut, a couple astronauts at Shuttle Fest. So, yeah, you got that there, Marty?
Yeah, I can't read it.
Okay, don't worry about it. Steve Jokums, good to see you there. We've got Mrs. Callie here. Okay. Yeah, so we got hello there, buddy. How you doing there? Chris Callie should have watched yesterday when you were our sponsor of the day there, as he is an important contributor in so many ways. Chris Callie and his fabulous artwork. Mitch Rothman, great to see you in your man space. Also another sponsor, Dave Stange. Hope you send us some autumn pictures, guys. We'll print them, okay? Cliff Watson, good morning to you down in Pomona, Australia, and hope you're enduring your treatments there and they're working for you there, Cliff. We think about you. Glad you're part of us and always will be. Tom Celentano up in Connecticut, Gary Gerald in Georgia, and hello, Tommy Usiak in Pennsylvania. So glad that you're all joining us today. I think you're going to enjoy our program, particularly on Karmanauts. Yep, we're going to really pound that into everybody's brain. Well, here are the Ramanujams again. This is specifically Bharat, and they bequeathed people a gift. They were into T-shirts that they would print up. These were some printed plaques that they gave. The middle row there are the plaques they handed out to the at Shuttlefest. There's Eileen Collins, Don Thomas, Joe Tanner, and Grunsfeld there. It's Grunsfeld, then Joe Tanner with Bharat, that they gave them these custom plaques about their missions. They also did one that I personally gave to Mike Leinbach not too long ago. And then here they were at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Look at them with Charlie Duke at an event in Kentucky. And what did they get? One to KT there, she on the lower right there, Kathy Thornton, and so on and so forth. So great people, and they love their space, and they certainly have found a home here at the American Space Museum, the Ramanujams. Our artifact of the day is just a new display where we've got the shoes that Nicole Stott wore working out on the International Space Station on Expedition 20 and 21 in 1999. At the top are her very special cleated bicycle shoes that she rode the bike on there. What's that brand name, Marty?
On the biking shoes?
On the top ones. The bottom one, you say Asics. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
That's her treadmill tennis
Asics.
shoes she wore there in 2009. So the top ones, I forget that it's written in the back there what those are. But these were in space, on her feet, working the treadmill, working the bicycle. And right beside her, we've shown before, is the sleeping bag that she slept in for 90 days. So we are thrilled, Nicole, to have these. She's going to be sending us pictures and so that we can put of her wearing these on there. So great supporter of Earthlings everywhere. Our beloved Nicole Stott, just recently in England at the Piccadilly Circus there promoting space with Christina Corp. So hope that you follow her on Facebook. Our artifact of the day. Yes, this is National Hispanic Month, which goes in from mid-month September to mid-month October. And we featured several of them already. The official list and number of Hispanic astronauts is, drum roll please, Marty, your guess. Your guess. Above 20 or below 20?
I would think below 20. I was going to say 18.
18? That's a pretty good guess. I'll take that guess and let you know that it is 14. Okay? And they include the first Cuban as the Latin American to fly in space, Arnaldo Mendez, okay, in 1980 from Cuba. He's also considered the first black person to fly to space. And Rodolfo Villa, the first and only Mexican to go to space in 1985 on STS-61B, the only Mexican to go to space, and that was, 40 years ago. Franklin Chang Diaz was the third one, the first Costa Rican astronaut. He'd been to space 7 times. And we'll feature a couple more here. Sid Gutierrez, Ellen Ochoa, Michael Lopez Allegra, Pedro Duque from Spain, Danny Olivas, George Zamka, Joe Acaba, Jose Hernandez, and Francis Rubio. And the two we're going to feature right now, there's a couple pictures of some of them I just mentioned there. Happy birthday today to Hispanic astronaut. Yes, we have Carlos Ishmael Noriega is 66 years old today, born in Lima, Peru. All right. Now, he's a U.S. citizen. He grew up in Santa Clara, California. 2 space flights, 20 days in space, STS 84 and 97. Grew up in Santa Clara, California, became an astronaut in 1995. He was at the 6th of 9 dockings with the Mir Space Station in 1997, STS 84. I'm looking for the scroll here. STS 84, Marty. Let me fetch the scroll. Let's see. I think one of our good friends is on that one. 84 is, boy, they really get jumbled up. Would you believe 84 was right before 94? Charlie Precourt. Eileen Collins was the pilot on that one. Her second time as piloting, and she went to the Mir Space Station with Kondakova, the third Russian to go, woman Russian. And they took up Michael Foale and brought back Lininger after his stay there. So STS 84 was in May of 97. So he was on that one. And then STS 97 in 2000, Jet in Bloomfield was his, he flew with Joe Tanner. And the late Mark Garneau of Canada. And I love mentioning the different astronauts, Marty, because you may have met them, our fans out there. But he was a EVA walker, a spacewalker, installed the first set of solar arrays on 3 EVAs. There he is, a year ago or so. Graduate of Wilcox High School in Santa Clara, California. And he selected, let's see, he actually worked at Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station, okay? So happy 66th birthday to Hispanic astronaut Carlos Noriega. And celebrating Hispanic Month with us is this young lady, Serena Anand, and that was her maiden name, and Chancellor, okay? And she was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, in 1976. All right, and I got to hear that I got her birthday. This is not her birthday. That's what am I saying? She's born April 9th, 1976. Okay, I was thinking, is this her birthday? No, 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 no. So that makes her she has turned 50, and no, 49 actually. Is that right, Marty? Yeah, 49. Wow, she's young. Probably going to fly. No, she did retire. She is a medical doctor at the in Texas, one of the great Texas. I think it's Texas A&M. Let me turn the page. She teaches students at Texas A&M now, but those students are blessed to know her because she spent 197 days in space on one mission. There she is as an ASCAN, all right, an astronaut candidate before she flew. She was chosen in Group 20 in 2009, but she completed a 3-year residency at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, and before she became an astronaut. She stated that she took a dual route in engineering and medicine because she was fascinated by both problem solving and caring for people. And here she is wearing her Cuban colors in space on that expedition 56-57 mission. Her father, Jorge Anand, a Cuban exile, arrived in the United States in 1960. All right. She's married to physicist Jeff Chancellor. All right. And this would be an awesome astronaut to meet out the Marty. She was a Nemo submersible astronaut also. Don't see if she did spacewalks. Doesn't say here. I don't think she did. But Serena Anand, Chancellor, thank you for all that you've done to promote the Hispanic populace and the can-do attitude that you have. She, as part of her training as an astronaut, she spent 2 months in Antarctica as part of the Antarctica Search for Meteorites expedition. That's something I'd like to be on. It was a 9-member team that explored new areas where future teams may go. They collectively returned over 1,200 meteorites, all right? No doubt she probably took a few meteorites with her up to space. I would if I was her. But having a surgeon with you like she was deputy surgeon on STS-127 and Expedition 22. She was also involved in medical operations on Orion. All right, but why are there so many meteorites in Antarctica, you ask? Marty, did I hear you ask that?
Yeah, I sure did.
Oh, okay. It's because of they're made of metal, magnetic, of the pulls them to the poles, the North and South poles. But guess what? There's a lot more white all over Antarctica to see those little rocks laying on top of them. And of course, they use some Geiger counters, metal detectors, I mean, to find stuff like that too. But so yes, happy birthday, or not happy birthday, but 2 Hispanic astronauts there, and we've got a couple more that we'll talk about next week to wrap up the month. And After all, we are teaching bilingual STEAM here, and Natalia is just doing a fabulous job. She's got 3 children of her own, and hands are full with these youngsters, and taking her time to do this is quite amazing. So thank you, Natalia, our favorite Hispanic person here at the American Space Museum. And Tom Celentano says this would have been Janice Voss's 69th birthday today. 5 times she went to space, right, Tom? And she died of breast cancer. And so God bless her and her family in there. So we see Leanne Semick is there. Thank you for joining us and hanging out here with Rosalie, Jubilee, and the rest of the gang. Well, here's the backdrop that Marty chose, as we're going to end our program today with something that, heck, I'd love for it to get controversial, Marty. We want to make a big distinction between those people that orbited the Earth and those that have been suborbital for a brief moment, like this morning, all right, when we had this crew go to space, or the edge of space, all right. Let me get my notes here. This is the just completed 15th human space flight for Blue Origin on the 36th flight of the New Shepard program. The crew included, in the middle is Clint Kelly with the cowboy hat on in the middle. He was his second flight. He did one 3 years ago. The rest of just one, you got Jeff Elgin, Dana Karagasov, Aaron Newman, Vitaly Ostrovsky, and there was and Will Lewis. Okay, Will Lewis I think's in the middle and was anonymous before they when they launched. They knew there was going to be 2, 4, 6 people, but only 5 of them were revealed and given profiles. Okay, Dana's the lady, of course, there on the left. This was the 15th human space flight. They went up to 66 miles, or 107 kilometers. The flight lasted 10 minutes and 21 seconds from launch to landing of their beautiful New Shepard capsule. All right. There it is launching. It's got big windows on it. All right. This was not today's launch. This was another launch. Did I put a picture of today's launch in there? I thought I did, but I might not have wrecked the wrong one. So 10 minutes, 21 seconds. They did not really experience the fiery re-entry. All right. And the ticket price is north of probably $400,000. But Blue Origin, you have to sign up for it before they tell you how much it is. So $400,000. I'm going to take my Dave Stange Detroit Go Tigers glass here and have a drink on that. What'd you put in that, Marty? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about why we consider these people beautiful people. They did something a lot of fun. Okay. We're not going to call it a joyride. We're not going to call it anything other than it is. A suborbital trip to the edge of our atmosphere and back safely, 21st century style. Same thing that Alan Shepard and Gus Grissom did. All right, but each one of those went up over 115 miles, I believe, and about 300 miles downrange. And this one went up 66 miles. Okay. The booster went up and down in 8 minutes, and they followed about 2.5 minutes later. But suborbital flights of Shepard and Grissom, we would call them Karmanauts also, but they did orbit the Earth, and one walked on the moon, being Shepard. So let's look at the atmospheric layers here. You got the troposphere, is where the weather is, okay? Then you got the stratosphere, and that's the upper areas where there's barely breathable atmosphere, oxygen and nitrogen, but that's where airplanes fly, is in between there. Then you got the mesosphere. The mesosphere is where meteors burn up, All right, it's still it's and that is up over 70, 80 miles, something like that. Okay. And then you're going, I mean, I'm sorry, more like 50 miles is the mesosphere. Then you got the thermosphere, uh, and that is what you think, a thermos, the last layer of the atmosphere holding us there. Between the mesosphere and the thermosphere, we've got the Kármán line. What is the Kármán line? What am I calling these people Karmanauts? Where'd I come up with that term, Marty? All right. But you see, the Kármán line has some spy satellites, and then you go up to the exosphere, and that's true outer space, all right, where we have satellites going up there and so forth. So, Kármán line. Where'd I come up with that? Off the top of my head? Nope. Theodore von Karman. Here's a beautiful stamp that Chris Callie appreciates. I don't know, maybe even Chris, this is his artwork because he's known for over 30 to 40 American space stamps, okay? Theodore von Karman lived to be 81. He died in 1961, was a Hungarian-American mathematician, aerospace engineer, and physicist who worked on aeronautics and astronautics. He was responsible for crucial advances in aerodynamics, characterizing supersonic and hypersonic airflow over surfaces, and he came up with the human-defined threshold of outer space called the Kármán line in recognition of his work. He is regarded as one of the outstanding aerodynamic theoreticians of the 20th century. All right. And the Kármán line is what he created was a comfortable 100 kilometers, okay, and of course scientists think more kilometers, just to say 100 kilometers, let's just don't say 110 kilometers, let's just say 96 kilometers, let's say 100 kilometers, and that, we'll define that as outer space. That is 62 miles, all right, there you go, you see the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere. We humans don't, unless they're in a spaceship, they don't get into the mesosphere, all right. And then 60 miles up, 62 miles up, the thermosphere, and then you see where we're getting up to outer space then. So if you go above this 100 kilometers, that's outer space. You do experience weightlessness. That's kind of why Karman came up with that, because it was something about weightlessness, gravity. We would be free falling at 100 kilometers and experience not weightlessness. So that's what they did today on the Kármán line. They went above it by 4 miles. We call them Karmanauts, okay? And I find nothing derogatory in that. I find it very scientific. And I find it something that Marty Winkle, my co-producer, invented for the world to embrace upon. And he really did when we were pondering this a couple years ago, Marty, even. And Marty came in one day and said, let's call them Karmanauts. And we love it. I think it's a beautiful separation. We have actually talked to Julie Payette, who's the president of the Association of Space Explorers, the clearinghouse of who's an astronaut, who's not. They have a ledger book that says 636 humans are registered as orbiting the Earth. That's the requirement to join the Association of Space Explorers. You have to orbit the Earth. But they also have a ledger that has the suborbitals, and I think there's now over 230 people that have been suborbital. This was the 80th individuals that New Shepard program has flown to suborbital space. 6 people have paid more than once to go up on this, and I'm not going to call it a joyride, but it certainly has to be joyful. Joyride makes it seem so cavalier and Universal Disney like, as I'm sitting 50 miles from the attractions in Orlando. There's danger involved. This is very sought out scientific rocket science. So, but still, it's got to be a thrill like your greatest joyride. So, Marty, Karmanauts, it is. I'll tell you who else liked it. It was Tom Jones. When I talked to Tom Jones about it, the astronaut, he was kind of like, yeah, I like that. And I said, well, Marty came up with that, and we're going to try to embrace it. Julie Payette liked it, the term of that. Don Thomas, who's very vocal in separating Karmanauts and astronauts, but he'd like to separate the space tourists in a separate category. So even though they orbited the Earth. Marty, what do you got to say on that UCX family microphone?
Well, Chris Calley is telling us that I just lost a comment. He designed the Thomas von Karman postage stamp.
You did? Okay, buddy. Excellent. I didn't get a chance to call you because this was something I threw in. What, Marty? About 10 minutes before the show? I said, Marty, I got one more slide to add in there. And I wish you had a little, uh, Chris Calley was here, a little marker in there. But beautiful, beautiful, Chris. And of course, his father also designed dozens of U.S. postage stamps, including maybe one of the most famous of all, the Man on the Moon stamp of 1969. So, Chris, thank you. Glad you're watching. Theodore von Karman there. Very good likeness of him. Man, I'd like to have his eyebrows. I have no eyebrows at all. And that's not good. Sweat just pours down my brow on there. And good job, Chris. Thanks that you're watching there.
Mark, Steve Holcomb was saying he was the first JPL director.
Jet Propulsion Lab Director?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All right. Steve also says altitude's got nothing to do with it. The balance between inertia and gravity does. Okay. So what altitude is that? We can talk more about that later in there. But okay, I'm told like Neil deGrasse Tyson would give me a lot of grief over the 100-kilometer weightlessness statement. I'm saying nothing about weightlessness. I'm saying 100 kilometers is defined as outer space. You go above that line, you come back down without orbiting the Earth. We'll let you be a Karmanaut. So who likes that? Who doesn't like it? I think you like it, Steve. Hope you do. And it's a great way to distinguish of this. And it's needed. Julie Payette and I had a nice long conversation about that. And she actually knows all the autograph hounds here, like myself, at the Space Museum. And so we are very open to suggestions there. Don Thomas, he really liked to separate the space tourists. Okay. But some of them space tourists went through a lot of training too, Don. And but we will have more shows about this, as we love to call them Karmanauts, in a positive way of putting a moniker on those who traveled to the edge of space and came down in 10 minutes and 21 seconds, as opposed to those who spent 197 days orbiting the Earth in the space station, like our wonderful Serena Anand Chancellor, Hispanic astronaut there. So what do you think? There's some Karmanauts there, including somebody who does not really consider himself an astronaut, Michael Strahan, the Hall of Fame football player, and now he's personality on television on Good Morning America. And that's in the back there off his shoulder is Laura Shepard Churchley, who flew during the anniversary of her father's suborbital flight. But this gives you an idea of the moment of weightlessness that they're experiencing inside. They're just strapped into a chair and looking out a big window there. And this is what the Kármán line looks like from about 62 miles above the Earth's surface inside of a Blue Origin New Shepard spacecraft. So, well, thank you all for watching today. Hope you enjoy our tribute to Hispanic astronauts. We had Dean Babcock watching, Leanne Semick, Tom Usiak, Tommy Celentano, Gary Gerald, Doug Forrest, Cliff Watson. God bless you, our friend down in Pomona, Australia, battling medical situations. Steve Jokums, Dave Stange, Mitch Rothman sent me a beautiful picture I'll share with you tomorrow on the show. RG Jubilee and Chris Callie. And let's just look at one more time at the talent of our friend and why we're privileged to call him a friend. Theodore Von Carmen, Chris Callie's stamp of that there. And he is a regular at the U.S. Postage Art League up there. Chris is as revered, probably more so in the stamp community, Marty, than in the space community. He is a real draw at all kinds of space or all kinds of stamp conferences, and I'd like to go to one sometime and see you in action there, Chris. So thank you all for watching today. Let's put this guy up here since I'm rolling around my slides here. Let's go to the one and only Carlton Bailey there. CB, we'll be seeing you tomorrow. We ought to take bets on what will he be wearing. Will a cat be flying a slice of pizza or riding a dinosaur? You choose which one, and let's see what happens tomorrow. As Carlton's fashion sense is always, shall I say, on point and noticeable. So thank you, my buddy, for wanting to be here tomorrow, and you're going to enjoy some White Room photos and some launch photos and just some good questions that you have for this outstanding space journalist, Carlton Bailey, on our show tomorrow. So until then, I'm thanking Marty Winkle for a great job today as usual, and thanking you for supporting our wonderful museum, and saying I'm Mark Marquette, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow to bridge the space between us.